Ethan Parker never planned to become the kind of person who made headlines or got recognized in public. All he wanted was a quiet life, peaceful, steady, and good enough to raise his daughter right. After losing his wife 3 years ago in a car accident, Ethan had built his world around their little girl, Lily. She was 6 now, bright-eyed, full of questions, and always somehow sticky from something sweet. Their Saturdays were sacred, pancakes in the morning, a trip to the local farmer's market in Maple Ridge by noon. It wasn't just about groceries. It was about rhythm, familiarity, and the quiet joy of small-town life. But one particular Saturday, it would end up changing everything. As usual, Ethan carried Lily on his shoulders, her tiny sneakers bouncing against his chest as she pointed out things that caught her attention: a lady selling rainbow scarves, a man juggling apples, a dog wearing sunglasses. But then, as they reached a busy produce stall with crates full of ripe tomatoes, strawberries, and peppers, Ethan noticed something unusual. A man, older, in his 60s, wearing faded denim and a sun-bleached hat, was gesturing wildly and speaking in rapid Spanish to a young vendor. The vendor looked completely overwhelmed, responding only in confused shrugs and awkward English. The line behind the man was growing. People began murmuring, clearly annoyed. One even muttered, "Why doesn't he speak English?" loud enough for others to hear. Ethan felt a familiar twist in his chest. It wasn't the first time he'd seen someone ignored or dismissed just because they didn't speak the dominant language. It reminded him of his own childhood, watching his mother struggle with English after they immigrated from Colombia. He stepped forward. "Disculpe, señor, ¿lo puedo ayudar?" "Excuse me, sir. Can I help you?" The man turned, startled but visibly relieved. "Gracias. Estoy tratando de donar estas verduras. No quiero venderlas, solo darlas a las familias que lo necesitan." He wasn't trying to buy anything. He was offering his extra harvest, boxes of slightly bruised but perfectly edible tomatoes and peppers, to anyone in need. He didn't want payment. Just wanted to help. Ethan turned to the vendor. "He's not here to sell. He wants to donate these to local families. Can the market arrange that?" The vendor blinked. "Oh, I didn't know that. I guess we could check with the manager." Ethan nodded. "Let's make sure they get stored properly before they spoil." Lily leaned down and whispered, "Daddy, you're like a helper superhero." Ethan laughed and said, "Just trying to do the right thing, kiddo." But what he didn't know, what he couldn't know, was that someone else had been listening. A few moments later, as he was sipping a lukewarm latte and watching Lily devour a cinnamon roll, a woman approached them. She was sharply dressed in a navy trench coat, with confident eyes and the kind of posture that said she was used to being in charge. "Excuse me," she said, smiling. "Are you the man who helped the farmer earlier?" Ethan nodded, suddenly unsure if he'd done something wrong. "I'm Elena Ruiz," she said, offering her hand. "I own this market." Ethan nearly choked on his coffee. "Wait, you own the whole farmer's market?" She nodded with a light laugh. "Yes. And I saw everything." Ethan smiled sheepishly. "I just translated. It wasn't a big deal." "No," she said gently. "You listened when others didn't. That is a big deal. Especially to someone like me." She glanced at Lily, who grinned and waved with her frosting-covered fingers. "And this must be your partner in crime." Ethan laughed. "She's the boss." There was a pause, and then Elena said something that caught him completely off guard. "We're launching a new community outreach booth. A program that connects local farmers and immigrant families with food banks and schools. It's been hard to find someone bilingual, compassionate, and grounded in this community. But I think we found our guy." Ethan blinked. "Me? You want to hire me?" Elena smiled. "You didn't help that man for recognition. You just did what was right." That's exactly who we want representing this program. Ethan hesitated. It had been years since he worked a steady job. He'd been taking freelance design gigs, barely making ends meet. Most jobs weren't flexible enough for single dads with kids and school pickups. But this? This sounded possible. Maybe even meant to be. And yes, Elena added, as if reading his mind, the schedule is flexible. You'd be off by 2 p.m., in time for school pickups. And it comes with health benefits. Lily looked up. Does it come with cinnamon rolls too? They all laughed. 3 weeks later, Ethan stood proudly behind the new community booth. A hand-painted sign above him read, "Speak. Share. Support." The table was covered in fresh produce, community resources in Spanish and English, and flyers about food drives and school meals. Families came. Some shyly, some skeptically. But Ethan greeted each one with kindness, switching languages without hesitation. He connected people, not just to services, but to each other. He had found a role that mattered. Not just a job. A purpose. The farmer he'd helped that day, whose name he learned was Senor Alvarez, stopped by every Saturday now, often bringing baskets of fruit or tamales wrapped in banana leaves. "You changed my life," the old man said once, eyes glistening. Ethan shook his head. "You changed mine." One day, Elena stopped by with her clipboard and a knowing smile. "You know," she said, "it's funny how life works. One small act. One conversation. That's all it took to change a whole system." Ethan looked around, the bustling booth, the smiles, the connections being made. And nodded. "It started with tomatoes," he said. "But I think it was about people all along." That night, as Ethan tucked Lily into bed, she hugged him tight and whispered, "You helped one man, and now you help everyone." He smiled, brushing her curls from her forehead. "Kindness is like that," he said softly. "You give a little, and sometimes, the whole world gives back. Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness opens the biggest doors. You never know who's watching, or what they'll see in you. But when you act from the heart, quietly, selflessly, miracles can happen."